We have a lot of news to cover today. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, seriously, a lot. But before that, I feel you should all know that I have another channel that I have been working on a lot recently. A channel that I've genuinely been having more fun with than I'd ever anticipated having. This is a passion project of mine, but if it doesn't look like something that you're interested in, just ignore this and enjoy MMOByte. Did you also know that we have a Patreon set up now? This allows you to directly support us if you're interested. Every patron will have their name appear at the beginning of every single YouTube video, and you'll be immortalized in the MMO genre forever. That's pretty sick, right? Oh, and finally, both MMRSSTIX now be streaming in 2 hours from now, both today and tomorrow on Twitch at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come join us as we dive into something, well, hopefully fun for you. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk some MMO news. Let's start this off by talking about a new release, or, well, it's kind of a new release. Okay, it's more like a re-release. Soul of the Ultimate Nation was an MMO that WebZen shut down a decade ago because, well, people grew bored, the game was heavily pay to win, and nobody was playing it. WebZen, doing what WebZen does, opted to reopen the MMO a decade later and take advantage of the classic wave of MMOs that have come out recently, and to try to bank on the nostalgia and the hope that many players had never had the opportunity to play it. MMRSSTIX and I both did, though, just last week, and it was pretty bad, but we're always up for trying new games at least once, so don't take our word for it and go ahead and try it out for yourself. After years waiting, Lineage 3, aka Lineage Eternal, aka Project TL, aka Project Lineage, not only finally has a 100% confirmed global release date of 2022, but it also has a final, confirmed definitive name, Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty is going to be, in NCSoft's words, a next-generation MMORPG developed exclusively for PC and console devices, with no expectations of having cross-platform compatibility between mobile devices, which, for a Korean developer, is honestly a little surprising. They're boasting an absolutely exorbitant number of features will be present in the game that will truly allow for them to take this game to the next level, and offer what is arguably the pinnacle of what Korean MMOs are capable of providing its players. I did a dedicated video just last week pertaining to this in quite a bit of detail, so I urge you to go ahead and watch that if you want gameplay and a full list of features. Trust me, it is worth the watch. Throne and Liberty should be launching in the second half of 2022 globally. If there's one thing that Nexon does well with Vindictus, it's the release schedule of new classes. On the 22nd, earlier this week, the brand new hero Letty was released, marking 20 heroes total. I believe that's even more than Black Desert has, and Nexon actually pushes new heroes out at a rate that is equal to, or at times even faster, than Pearl Abyss does. Letty's introduction includes a new carnival party filled with goodies to obtain, if only the game were more free-to-play friendly, you know? Last week, NCSoft rolled out a brand new update for Blade & Soul. This update, titled Unchained Chaos, brought with it the third spec for the Gunslinger, the new Demon's Bane 4-player dungeon, and most importantly, a new feature that allows players to change their class without having to roll an ult. Yeah, this is a feature that players have been asking for honestly, I don't even know. It's a feature that Final Fantasy XIV, that Twin Saga, and even the upcoming Blue Protocol MMO all allow by default, completely free of charge. Whereas NCSoft, being NCSoft, have decided, you know what, let's go ahead here and charge players $100 to change their class. I'm sure that sounds reasonable. The worst part of all of this is that there's a time limit to use the feature, and if you don't utilize it before that timer is up, you'll lose the ability to change class and the $100 investment that you made. Yeah, yikes, NCSoft. Kakao has a lot planned for Elyon this year, a 30-player raid. Wait, 30 players? Looking at the numbers on Steam, there are barely 300 people playing. That raid will take up 10% of the entire population. How is that even gonna work? But you know what? I mean, for those of you that are still actively playing and enjoying Elyon, this is fantastic news. So is the addition of an entirely new continent, raising the level cap in the game from 52 to 55. They have plans on introducing additional PvP content into the game as well, although I felt the PvP was honestly one of the weaker areas of the game, so this might help with that. I don't know. We also have 2 new classes planned, the Paladin and the Soulbringer. They also plan on reintroducing flying mounts into the game, along with aerial combat, including an aerial raid, clan dungeons, revamped content, and man, so much more, which is honestly really confusing to me, as how do a few hundred concurrent players playing the game really warrant as much attention as they are getting from their developers? Either way, this is a lot of sick content that is coming to the game, and I would totally take another look at it when it's all available. Ever since it was announced that Gamigo would be publishing Fractured, the game has been in a constant state of negative press, and it stands to reason as to why that is. Fractured was a very unique, very interesting MMO when both MRSSTIX and I got to stream the alpha test of it. Yet, under Gamigo, they have made repeated mistakes, with the newest including employing GMs, game masters, for free. Gamigo, which pulled in $276 million in revenue last year, an 80% increase over its previous year, wants people to quote-unquote volunteer to be GMs. GMs will host events, they'll report bugs, they will moderate the official Discord, they'll intervene in issues that players are having both in-game and out, and in their own words, be the very first line of customer service forwarding player feedback, all the while not earning a single cent. They did note though that volunteering is also the first step in the door to get into the industry. That is mind-blowing. That is actually insane that anyone would think that that is acceptable to do. Wow. Last week, Kakao revealed that they were developing a brand new PC exclusive MMO called Ares: Rise of Guardians. Very little in the way of info was made available to us, but they did release a small cinematic trailer, which naturally was gorgeous. When aren't they, right? What we do know is that this is going to be available on PC only. There's going to be no console, there's going to be no mobile cross-platform compatibility. We also know it's going to be sci-fi themed, and it's launching globally this year. Yeah, there's no gameplay yet, there's no story, there are no screenshots of the game, but we will be playing it in the next several months. Interesting marketing strategy, I guess, Kakao, but given how badly Elyon was received, it's probably wise to wait until the last minute, until it is as polished as it'll likely get for this one. If you ever wanted to play ArcheAge, but instead of everything that makes ArcheAge unique, everything that makes ArcheAge fun, it's all just a massive NFT, then ArcheWorld is the, well, I want to call it a game. Heck, even Exile Games, the developers, refer to it as some type of revolutionary next generation MMO, but I don't know, man. I don't feel comfortable labeling it as such when it's literally just a bunch of NFTs thrown into ArcheAge's world, but I digress. ArcheWorld has entered pre-registration, allowing players to begin their descent into the world of NFTs if they're interested in owning anything, everything, I guess. I don't know. I did a dedicated video on this in greater detail, but suffice it to say, I won't be playing this, nor would I ever recommend it to anyone else. Sure, Lost Ark has been slowly declining in terms of active players for a number of reasons, but the fact is, it is still one of the most played MMOs online as of this video, and as of 2 days ago, they actually rolled out their latest update, introducing the competitive proving grounds to players. Season 1 is going to last a total of 6 months, with rewards being dependent on your final ranking. The majority of the PvP rewards are going to be earned via participation. You'll need to continuously engage in the proving grounds, as if you neglect it for over 2 weeks, then your rating will begin to decline, forcing you to play at least twice per month if you ever want the rewards, things like mounts or cosmetics and more. Guild Wars 2's latest expansion, End of Dragons, was such a monolithic success that ArenaNet have already confirmed they're planning out the 4th expansion. Given it took 5 years between Path of Fire and End of Dragons, it is promising to learn that we might be getting the next one much sooner. Then we have ArenaNet's surprising reveal that over the last 2 years, active player numbers, especially due to the End of Dragons expansion, have more than doubled. That That is honestly kind of crazy given how many people spread the misinformation that quote-unquote Guild Wars 2 is dead. They noted that they're still working towards releasing the game onto Steam one day, and finally they're working on releasing more frequent updates moving into the future, which is probably the most important bit of info from their entire blog post. Oh, and also they released a roadmap from now until July for those of you wondering what we can expect. Zenith, or rather Ramen VR, the dev team behind Zenith, announced last week that they had secured $35 million in investment that has allowed them to not only build out the core of the title, but also accelerate their efforts to bring the game to both desktop and mobile platforms. After launching in January, the game went on to become the #1 selling game on Steam, if only temporary, and one of the top selling titles on PlayStation VR. This additional funding is going to allow for them to make a remarkable number of improvements to the game, which, in my opinion, is really only good news for its future. I think I covered Mabinogi maybe once, maybe twice per year. Surprisingly, after 14 years, the MMO still receives semi-regular updates. In celebration of this, and like every year, I think, does Mabinogi actually celebrate its anniversary every year? I think it does, right? It's got to. Regardless, in celebration of this, Nexon is including a surplus of updates: the 14th anniversary night bazaar, quests specific to the bazaar, new dailies, new rewards, and more. But what is most important about all of this to me is their announcement that on April 14th, Nexon plan on merging the Elyon and the Now servers together, creating the new Errand server. This is important because it's going to consolidate a large number of players into one much larger server. Mabinogi desperately needs this merger, and honestly I couldn't be happier to learn that more players will be able to play together in a more populated server. This is perhaps one of the games that I am most looking forward to over the next few months. An open beta was held for this back in the middle of December, and unfortunately, I did not get to participate in it because I was at my in-laws. Nevertheless, it was confirmed a couple days ago that Dungeon Fighter Duel, one of 3 games set within the Dungeon Fighter world, including Dungeon Fighter Overkill and Project BBQ, will be launching on the PS4, the PS5, and PC on June 28th, just 3 months from now. This game looks gorgeous, the combat looks incredible, and it's going to tie into the story of every Dungeon Fighter game in development, expanding on the selection of classes, heroes, whatever you want to refer to them as, and their respective backstories. And finally, I've seen an abundance of Reddit threads popping up on our Blue Protocol subreddit recently, and videos that are posted to YouTube with gameplay of Blue Protocol, new gameplay that was not captured during the alpha or the beta tests. Yes, there is a functional, limited, pirated version of the client available for players. I have not downloaded it, I have not tried it out yet, and thus I cannot verify its integrity or the validity of it, nor of whether it has viruses that could potentially steal all of your info. But what I do know is that it is not officially released, it is not endorsed by Bandai Namco nor the Blue Protocol team, and is therefore technically illegal. And I wanted to take a moment here to make it clear, these videos, this gameplay, is not taken from the current version of Blue Protocol being actively developed at Bamco. It's from a client that is at this juncture almost 2 years old. And that is it. That is every bit of MMO related news that mattered to me today. Now, if you're looking for something to go ahead and play, then I got you covered with this right here.